Hi, my name's Glenn Hasselman. I'm just making this video for the free accounting software users to explain the BMS and employee IDs and how they work with single touch payroll. So I've done two other videos where I show how to change the ID numbers, but what's better than changing them from weird ID numbers to ID numbers that you prefer is just to get it right the first time. The problem is that I think it's just a lot of information to try to get across to new users before processing payroll. If you can get through this and set the IDs up before you've processed any payrolls, then that would be better. So on the My Business Details page, under the advanced identifiers, and it's collapsed by default, but if you just click on the heading, it expands the title pane. We've got the Business Management Systems ID. Now I just changed that to 123, but when you start with the software, it will generate, it'll have some big strange thing like that in it, and that works. Where you'll have difficulties is if you were to switch payroll softwares, or that might even include just setting up a second free accounting software file. It's or you could be switching to free accounting software from another accounting software, in which case you might want to continue on with the same BMS ID that you were previously using, so that it doesn't create a duplicate record at the ATO. So to try to explain what this BMS ID is, the ATO creates an income statement for each employee record, and the records are keyed by this BMS ID as well as the employee's ID. So if either of those changes, it creates a second income statement. When that happens, you'll see, or the employee, when they log into their MyGov, you in fact won't see this. When the employee logs in, they will see two income statements for the one company. It's possible that larger companies might run their payroll through two different payroll systems, and that's what they intended to do, but for micro businesses it probably is not what you intended. So this is where you set up the BMS ID. In my example, I just called it 123, but you might want to put in something that is meaningful to you, or is continuing on the previous BMS ID from your previous payroll software. Now, if you've already processed transactions though, you will need to look at the video on how to change it, because otherwise you will be creating duplicate income statements. Now, I'll just go and show you where the employee ID is, and that is in the counterparties on the employee record. Go into payroll details and go through to the TFN declaration. So TFN declaration is becoming a bit more of a all-purpose tax information page, but anyway, this is where the employee's payroll ID is, and you can have it blank. If you have it blank, the software will generate a really long, universally unique ID number in the lodgement, but it's probably better to assign some more human readable types of ID numbers. And if you do it before your first payroll, then you won't have to change the employee IDs later on, or just live with long, cumbersome ID numbers. You'll have more sensible ID numbers. Anyway, that's just a tip for getting started. And yeah, like I say, it's just, there's a lot to learn before you're even processing the first payslip. So I'd understand if people skip this ID number thing, but there are 2 videos on how to change the ID numbers later on. Okay, I hope the video has been useful to you, and thanks for watching.